Good morning, sir.
Name.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
So today's class we are going to discuss about production function. In simple words, production function is the relationship between input and output. Any industrial unit uh, uses resources and several kinds of inputs and converts it into output. So the relationship between input and output is studied in economics, and that topic is known as production function. And I mean, how input is related with output, how output behaves when we change or when the input varies, how output changes. And this relationship can be studied in two ways: in short run, in long run. A short run is a period in which some of the input or some of the resources are fixed. Fixed, when I use the word fixed, it means they cannot be changed. So say, for example, if we have a factory, I mean, certain kinds of machines and certain kinds of, land and, building. So in very short period of time, the new machinery cannot be purchased, new land and cannot be purchased, new construction cannot be done. But in the short term period, raw material can be increased. In the short term period, new labor, may be hired. So, so this production function is studied in two ways: in short run and long run. So first we will start with the short run production function. The behavior that has been identified by economists in the short run uh, is known as law of diminishing returns. So let us first understand what is production function. A production function indicates the highest output that a firm can produce for every specified combination of input. Although in practice, firms use a wide variety of input. So in reality, any firm uses a wide variety of input, but for the sake of simplicity, for the sake of understanding, normally we analyze using only few inputs. So to keep our analysis simple, focusing on only two, labor and capital, we can then write the production function as Q is equal to function of capital and labor. Q is the quantity or quantity of output, function of capital. K denotes capital, L is for labor. So in this case, K is constant and L is variable. L is changing, and we can keep K as constant. So this is the simplest form of production function. Although in reality, there are a lot of other inputs. So apart from labor, there may be raw material. There may be, if we break down the all kinds of inputs, like for example, electricity, or say for example, different kinds of raw material that are used. But for the sake of simplicity, we will take only two variables. One is labor and one is capital. And we will look at how this queue behaves. Production function. In production function, we study the relationship between input and output. Output here is denoted by Q. Q is basically the quantity of output. And input here, in this case, there are two inputs, K and L. K denotes capital and L represents labor. So this short run refers to a period of time in which the quantities of one or more factors of production cannot be changed. In other words, in the short run, there is at least one factor that cannot be varied. Such a factor is called fixed input. So a short run period is defined as a period in which one or more factors cannot be changed. And such factors are known as fixed input. So normally the example of fixed input is land or machinery. Land, machinery, building, these are examples of fixed input. And if we take up example from the agriculture, then land is a fixed input, and the amount of fertilizer we are using on that land is a variable input. And short run period is a period in which uh, either one or more than one inputs cannot be changed. So that period is known as short run period. And a long period or a long run is the amount of time needed to make all inputs variable. So if all inputs can be changed in a particular period of time, that that period of time can be termed as long run or a long run. So this is the difference. This is how short run and long run period is defined. So a short run period is a period of time in which either one or more than one input are constant, and they cannot be changed, and such inputs are called fixed input. And a long period of time is a time period in which all inputs are variable. So for example, if we have factory, so in the long run we can develop one more factory, we can purchase one more land, we can purchase machinery, we can extend our facility, we can extend the capacity of our factory. So in the long run, all inputs are variable. In the long run, every input can be changed, but in the short run, only some of the inputs can be changed. Not all inputs can be changed. So this is how short run and long run period is defined. This production with one variable input, the law of diminishing returns. So in the short run, the behavior of output that has been observed by various studies, by various empirical studies and economists, is known as the law of diminishing returns. So as per this law that is known as law of diminishing returns, if there are two inputs and we keep one input as fixed and we start increasing another input. So let us take example from farming sector. If there is a farmer and he cultivates a piece of land, and then his output comes in the form of wheat or in the form of rice or whatever he is cultivating. So if the piece of land is fixed, and instead of one farmer, he engages two worker on the same field, slightly the output may increase. Then he may hire one more, three workers are hired for the same land, then four farmer, then five, then six, then seven, then eight. So after some point, after some time, a time will come when the contribution of an additional worker will become zero, or even can become negative. So say for example, after 5 workers, if we hire a sixth worker on the same land, then the output will not increase. output will not increase. So the relationship between input and output is not linear. First, it will increase. First, total output will increase once we will increase, start increasing the labor. But after some time, the total output will become constant. And after even a certain level, if we further increase the labor, the total output will start decreasing. So this behavior or this pattern or this behavior of output is known as the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns. So the law of diminishing marginal returns states that as the use of an input increases in equal increments with other inputs fixed. So in this example that I have mentioned, the land is fixed, but we are increasing the labor. A point will eventually be reached at which the resulting additions to output decrease. So after certain point, the total output will start will become constant, then it will start decreasing. So the contribution of an additional labor or an additional input will become negative. So when the labor input is small and capital is fixed, extra labor adds considerably to output. So initially, every extra labor contributes a lot in the output, but often because workers are allowed to devote themselves to specialized tasks, there are various reasons why this, the law of diminishing return works. So one of the reason is specialization. So if we hire two labor, so every labor will do the task in which he specializes. So because of specialization, there will be efficiency, there will be more output. Eventually, however, the law of diminishing marginal returns applies. When there are too many workers, some workers become ineffective. So when a lot of workers are employed on the same land, some of the workers will become ineffective and inefficient, and the marginal product of labor falls. So marginal product means the contribution of an additional labor to the total output is called marginal product or marginal output. So the contribution of an additional labor in the total output will start falling after some time. So this behavior or this pattern is known as the law of diminishing returns. So in the form of table, in the form of data, you can look at this table. In the first column, we have labor. Labor is variable. So starting from 0, it goes to up to 10, and the amount of capital is fixed. Capital, I mean, all fixed variable are combined together in this single word, that is capital. So capital is fixed, and labor, we are increasing the labor, and all other factors are constant. We are not changing all other factors. We are changing only the labor. So this is the third column is for total output, that is denoted by Q. So Q is initially when labor was 0, the total output was also 0. But when one labor was hired, the total output was 10. When two labor were hired, the total output became 30. And similarly, from 0 to up to it keeps increasing up to 112. So when we hired 7 labor, the total output became 112. But when we hired the eighth labor, the total output did not increase. It remained constant. So it means the contribution of an additional labor is actually 0. So that is denoted by marginal product. So marginal product is 0 because the contribution of its labor is 0. The total output is constant. When we are hiring an additional labor, additional worker, it is not increasing the total output. And when we hired a 9th labor, the total output has actually started decreasing. So it was 112, and when we hired 9 labor, the total output became 108. So the contribution was of the marginal product became negative. So the contribution of an additional labor on the output became negative. So initially the total output is increasing at an increasing rate. Uh, you might observe that the total output has increased from 10 to 30. So 10 to 30, this increase is actually 3 times, 3 times increase. Then when it increased from 30 to 60, this increase is actually 2 times. So first it increased by 3 times, then 2 times, then less than 2 times from 60 to 80. So initially it increases, the total output increases at an increasing rate, then it increases at a decreasing rate, then it becomes constant, then after some time it starts decreasing. The total output that is denoted by Q starts decreasing. Similarly, we can look at the behavior of average product. So average product is nothing but Q divided by L. Q divided by L. Q is the total output, L is the labor. So 10 divided by 1 is 10, 30 divided by 2 is 15, 60 divided by 3 is 20. So initially the total, the average product, starts increasing, then it reaches its maximum, and then it starts declining. Similarly, marginal product initially increases, then it starts decreasing and it becomes negative. So the marginal product can become negative, but average product, remains positive. So this is the law of diminishing returns. And graphically, this behavior can be, sh shown like this. Okay. So this graph that is above uh, depicts total product. So you might see here that initially total product is increasing at an increasing rate till the point C, up to from this point to this point, that is point C, the total product is increasing at an increasing rate. And C is also the point where marginal product is is crossing the average product. And the marginal product curve cuts the average product curve at its maximum. So this E point is the maximum point of average product. So this is the average product curve, and this E point is the maximum point of average product, and that is the same point where marginal product cuts average product. And this is the same point where the inflection point comes, and total product starts increasing at a decreasing rate. So this is increasing rate, exponential rate of increase. Then beyond C, the point C, the total product is increasing but at a decreasing rate. Then the D point is the point where total output is maximum. This point is the point where total output is maximum, and this is also the point where marginal product is 0. So this is 112, because after 112 the total product has started decreasing. So this point D is the maximum of total product, and this is also the point where marginal product is 0. And beyond the point D, the marginal product has come into negative territory. So marginal product has become 0. So when marginal product curve has come down below this line, it means it has become negative. And at this point, that is this point, the marginal product is actually 0. So this is the law of diminishing returns. And
May I ask a question, please?
yes.
So, what could be the reasons behind this decrease? because we are increasing the labor. So, in general assumption, we would assume that with increase in labor, our output will also increase. But we are seeing that it is decreasing. So, what could be the reasons behind this decrease?
There are various reasons. We will study about those reasons, but to keep it in short, one of the reason is division of work. Initially, the total product increases because every person is engaged in his specialized work, and there are other reasons also. um, uh, Indivisibility is one reason, because say for example there is a machine, and that machinery has some output level, capacity level. So if we are using that machinery for producing some product which is less than its capacity, so it is inefficient. So the total product will increase up to a level where the capacity is utilized 100%. And once the capacity of the machinery is being utilized by 100%, then there is no need to hire additional labor. If we again hire additional labor, so the contribution of that labor will not be much in the total output. So indivisibility, so a machinery cannot be used in parts. A machinery has to be used in total. We will there are other reasons also. We will talk about those factors. For today, I have one more task for you. This relationship can be studied once you will do this yourself in Excel. Uh, then you will develop more understanding of this law, that is law of diminishing returns. So let me show you. Okay.
सर ये वाला सब्जेक्ट भी सर आप ही लेंगे अब?
Yes, Hamad, what are you saying?
सर इकोनॉमिक्स वाला सब्जेक्ट भी सर आप ही लेंगे अब, वलीद सर की जगह?
जी जी, बाद में वही ले रहा हूँ। तो ये आपकी स्क्रीन पे ये एग्जाम्पल है एक okay. So on your screen there is an example of diminishing marginal utility. Initially, this law was developed in the context of farming, and the dominant economic activity during that time was farming. So that is why the most of the economists analyzed the behavior of input and output in the context of farming and agriculture. So green revolution, green revolution was based in part on extensive use of fertilizers. Following data illustrates the relationship between nitrogen fertilizer in pounds of nitrogen. So the data is here in the first column. It indicates the amount of fertilizer that is being used, and the output in bushels, and this output is in bushels. Whatever it may be wheat, it may be rice, or it may be pulses or whatever. Each observation is based on 1 acre of land. So land is fixed, the capital or land is fixed in this case, but we are increasing one input, that is fertilizer. We are keeping the land fixed and we are increasing the fertilizer. So initially the output will increase, and after some time the output will become constant, and then after some point the total output will start decreasing. So let us see how you can chart this. First you have to select this data and then come to insert tab, and you may click on recommended charts also, and let us choose this chart. So you might observe that this curve is initially it is increasing, then it became constant, and after becoming constant, it has started decreasing. So even in the table, you may look at the data till 149, it is increasing, and after 149, it has become 142, which means the total output has decreased. So this is how the total output behaves. So initially, when we increase the fertilizer on the same land is same. So the total output, when we doubled fertilizer from 20 to 40, the output has also doubled, almost doubled. Then the impact of fertilizer on the output has started decreasing. And when we increased fertilizer from 120 to 140, the output has increased by only 1 unit. That is from 148 to 149. So this is what law of diminishing return is. So let us try to further uh, understand the behavior of output. So this is linear line. We are we have tried to fit in linear line in the let us display the equation also, and let us also display the R square. So this equation is the equation of this line. So the dependent variable is Fe, that is fertilizer, and the dependent variable is Q, and fertilizer is the the regressor, and the R square is coming to be 80%. And let us run a polynomial regression also. More options, come to this option, that is polynomial, and an order of 2 has been selected. Display the equation and display the R square also. So now you might observe here that the R square of the polynomial regression is coming out to be 0.9935. So this R square basically denotes the fit, the regression fit. So it means that polynomial regression is more fit on the data as compared to the straight line or a linear line. So the linear line is not closer to the actual data, but when we are using a polynomial regression, that line is actually closer to the actual data. So it means that the behavior of output or the behavior of quantity is actually more represented by polynomial function than as compared to the linear relationship. So the relationship between input and output is not linear. This is what is the conclusion, that the relationship between input and output is not linear and but polynomial, because initially the total output is increasing, but after some time it has become constant, then after some time it has started decreasing. So the second point that is being asked here is, does fertilizer exhibit the law of diminishing marginal returns? So what is your answer? Can anybody tell me whether fertilizer is experiencing a diminishing marginal utility, diminishing marginal return or not?
Yes, sir, it
Yes,
is.
Yes,
sir,
sir.
it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, right.
Okay, thank you very much. So now what I will do, I will just delete this, this chart, and I will send you this sheet, and you are supposed to insert a chart and then upload this in the Google Classroom. I will send you the link of Google Classroom, and this will be a mini task for you. Once you will do this, then you will develop more understanding of the law of diminishing returns. Okay, thank you very much for joining this class,
Thank you.
and we will
Thank you, sir.
continue tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
you.